Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. First off, I want to say if you hear anything very weird in the background, my dog has a Kong right now, and if you've ever had a dog who has a Kong, trying to get out that last little bit at the end, it definitely isn't the nicest, most pleasant sound in the world, so please forgive me for that. I wanted to hop on here and do a little bit of an update. I only have about 4 or 5 projects to show. I've been very monogamous, but it has resulted in a ton of progress on one project in particular, which I'm going to save for the very end, so stick around for that. Since we last spoke, I did fully finish the Scary Apothecary series. And I do not have them here to show, so I'm going to play a little bit of a video of them displayed. They are up at my office in my cubicle. I'm really proud of how they came out. I will, once Halloween is over, I will show you them up close. But I have them all finished as pennants and just pinned up on the cubicle wall, and those are just like some really cheap garlands from Dollar Tree, and to give them the full effect. And they came out great. I did film a tutorial on how to make those. I will edit that and put that up if anyone is interested in that. And let's hop into the whips. Like I said, I don't have much to show, so this video probably will be pretty quick. The first project I'm going to talk about is Bonded by the Rain by Leonid Afremov, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a black and white photo, but the project is in color. And I've done, it looks like, about 400 stitches since I saw you last. And here's where I'm at. And I did get one of these, what are they called? Bobbin buddies or something, and I really like it so far for holding the extra thread and just keeping it out of the way while you're stitching. They just kind of pop open, and then you can wrap the thread around and close it so that they are out of the way. Another look at that. I'm starting to get there's some purples in here and some blues. This project is 2/1 tent stitch on 32 count. Did I say that correctly? 2/1 tent stitch on 32 count. This is gridded, I think it's Lugana, yeah. And this is following the Royal Rose method, so you do the 200 stitches at a time. I do them cross country within that 200 stitches. If you need to end the thread, you end it to the right and you park below. The next project, I don't know if I've shown on this channel or not, but I've worked on it, like I started it a while ago, but I don't remember talking about it, so this might be something new to you. This is the English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wenzler. This was gifted to me by a friend, and, well, gifted, passed on. Thank you, Patty. And I'm only stitching the Cottage. I am not a fan of like alphabet samplers. It's just not my vibe. But I love the Cottage that's in this, so I picked that out to do. And I am doing this, I believe this is a 28 count even weave, Lugana, something to that effect. Here's a closer look at just the Cottage. There's a lot of texture in the Cottage. There is back stitches, specialty stitches, and I just love how it looks. And here's where I'm at. I'm gonna save the specialty stitches for last because I Obviously this isn't ironed, you can see all my hoop marks. I don't like the way hoops can distort specialty stitches when you're working, so I save those, I'm going to save them for the end. Close up the work. And I like to have a couple really small projects going at a time, just to like ease up when I've been working constantly on bigger, more difficult projects. And they're the kind of projects that I like to take with me to work, in the car, to appointments, to whatever I need to do. And this is a good project for that. Again, that was English Cottage Sampler by Teresa Wenzler. And this is actually, I can't show you because I'd be showing you the pattern, but it's a handwritten pattern. You can see like that it's not generated by a computer. It is written by hand. And the instructions are extensive. There's a ton of blends. I think Teresa Wenzler's work is just so pretty. So, here's that one. The next one is another small. This is the one I've been taking to work with me a lot. And that is the Bluebird by Shannon Designs. And I think the last time you saw it, I had part of this top done and like a little bit of her head. I've worked down her chest and her feathers here. And this is how she looks. I am saving all of the back stitching until the end, and this project has a ton of back stitching. So this is definitely one of those projects where the before and after of the back stitching is dramatic, and I can't wait to do that, like to take a picture before and after that back stitching, because it's gonna completely change the look of this. I like how soft this looks without the back stitching, but it definitely needs the definition. So I also, for the same reason of the hoop distorting it, I don't like doing the back stitching until the end. So, yeah. Just because I was in a rush to kind of start this video, I did forget to thank everyone who, you know, wished me well wishes to recover from my surgery. I am 99.9% recovered. Every now and then, like, my dog might jump on me the wrong way and I might feel a little tinge of maybe that's not fully healed yet. For the most part, though, I'm totally fine and I'm very happy with having the procedure done, and even more pleasantly surprised that my insurance ended up paying more for it than intended, or originally quoted, which is always a nice surprise. As you can tell by my accent, most likely, I am from America. We do not have universal health care. Procedures, specifically ones that are more elective, like my procedure was done, which was a tubal ligation and uterine ablation, it's a hard fight to get insurance to pay for, so I was very, very lucky, and only had to pay a few $100s versus a few, like almost 1,000, so I was very grateful for that. Last but not least, by any means, because I got a ton of work done on her, is Lady Justice. The last time you saw her, last month, she had her sword, she had this part of her bodice, but she didn't have an arm, she didn't have this, she had this little poof, she had the skin of her face, and just like a little bit of her blindfold. I can tell you now, she has all of her, well, everything minus beading. All of her crown, her hair, her blindfold, this entire cape, the scales, this entire ribbon, and I've started working down here more in her dress. I've gotten a ton done on her. My husband and I started watching, started a new like nighttime routine, and that includes settling into our bed at about 8 o'clock at night and watching an episode of something. So it's either The Rings of Power or we've started watching The Crown. We watched, what did we watch? We were behind on Bridgerton, so we only just watched season 2. And that's been a really nice nighttime routine for us. And so when we're watching that show, whatever it may be, I sit and stitch. And that's provided me regular stitching time every single day, and it's just been really nice. I actually even got my husband, and I think I want to start doing this. I know this is really silly, but I got him to stitch a few stitches in her. He made a few of the stitches like down here in her ribbon. I don't know. It's something super silly for something that's for me that goes on our wall. I think it's kind of nice to see that, like, oh, you know, my husband put a couple of those stitches in, and it's silly, but he did it. I think he put in like 10 stitches. And then there was one point where he was like trying to cuddle with me, but I was obviously trying to stitch, and he was like, I couldn't use this hand, because I predominantly stitch with my right hand, and he was laying on that arm, and I was like, well, I need it. And he was like, no, you can just stitch on the top, you know, you can pull it through with your left hand and then poke it back through, and I'll pull it through the back with my right hand. That did not last very long. That lasted like 2 stitches, and I made him move. Which I can do double-handed stitching, it's just doing it with him just wasn't working. But my husband's very sweet and supports my stitching and things like that, so, you know. But without further ado, this also hasn't been ironed, so I apologize. But look at her. So I'll give you a closer look. So all of her crown, her blindfold, her hair. The back stitching is done just because I hated the way it looked without it, so I needed to give it the definition. I got that whole cape done, the scales, and then this entire ribbon. And within the last few days I've worked on this down here. There is a markation there from just how the pattern's broken up. I'm not gonna fuss about it. I know some people really hate those lines. But there's not, I mean, honestly, there's not much you can do. I can't work across a whole pattern like that, so it's gonna live. It probably will even partially wash out. This is 32 count even weave by Fabric Flare, and it is a fabric called We the People, which is the preamble to the Constitution. And I was worried how she would be centered on this fabric, because when you're starting her, I started her in the center to try and get her centered on the fabric, but she is so heavily off-center within her own pattern, just because her dress flows. And so I was worried when I was stitching her and I was so much in this upper quadrant that she wouldn't be centered. Now having this ribbon all the way on the other side, balancing it out, it makes me feel a lot better that it's not completely off center. I still don't know for sure how it's going to be centered vertically, so we'll still have to see. Centering it on this fabric was kind of a pain, but I think it's coming so good. And I am trying really, really hard to get her done. I want her finished, and I want her framed, and I want her on my wall. I told my husband, because like I have several of these fancy ladies going, and I do want to get them professionally framed, but I understand that professional framing is expensive, and I told him, I was like, please understand that when I rush to get her framed, when I am done, it is not the precedent that's going to be set for all of my fancy ladies. She has a spot on my wall designated for her. It is right next to my diploma, right next to like my photo with my tassel, and so I want her to get her up. I want her framed in the same style and up next to those, just to kind of finish out that little celebration of me, if I could be so conceited. So all I have is the lower part of her dress, and she has one more ribbon. So obviously this is a lot of stitching. I mean, there are probably as many stitches in this as all of the upper part, if not more. So I do understand that she's nowhere near done, not yet, but I'm gonna keep chugging. I'm hoping not to lose momentum because I really want to get her done. The good thing about this though is I'm getting more confident in my stitching to travel more. So with certain kinds of stitching, I don't want to pick a color and go too far, because then what if I messed it up? And then I'm gonna have to rip all of it out. But I've gotten a lot more confident that I can sit and I can do, I don't know if I can show you. I'm gonna cover most of this so you can't really see it. But for one part of this pattern, I highlighted all of the one stitch that I'm doing in yellow and doing all of it. And I'm not doing a ton of color changes. It's just that one color, doing all of it, then picking another one and building off of that. And basically every time you do that, your area to stitch becomes larger because you're building it off of things that, so you don't have to count that far. So there is this color, you know, down here, but I don't have anything to connect it to, and it would be counting 10, 20 stitches to get there. So I'm not doing that, but I am making the areas much larger, and then when I'm connecting off of those, I am traveling further, and it helps speed up the stitching. Whereas before I would do a length of thread, go as far as it would get me, change the color to what was next to it, and moved from there. So adapting my stitching a little bit has helped in the speed of getting this project done, and focusing on areas. So I worked on her hair, I worked on her blindfold, I worked on her face, I worked on her ribbon, then I worked on the scales, then this ribbon, then her dress. So, well, in this part, I'm going to do the front part of her dress, this ribbon, the back part of her dress. And that's because my pattern is split, like, right here. So, still a ton of work to do on this, but I'm not letting it best me. This pattern is still fun, and I still have the beading to do at the end, which there's not a lot of beading in this, not by any means. The most of it is in the scales and her hair, and then there's just these circles on her dress every now and again. But I'm so proud, guys. I got so much done. I'm going to continue to be monotonous on her. I've been enjoying being monotonous and trying to focus on something and being consistent and working on it almost every day. So hopefully the next time you see her, there will be even more. As far as plans go for this month, these are my plans. I'm gonna keep working on her every night that I can. I'm going to work on my smalls when I need a break, or when I'm at work, or, well, at work on my lunch break. Although I will say, at my work we have a Miss Pac-Man machine, and my boss is a not your average boss, and he had a trophy commissioned that is the Pac-Man high score trophy, and whoever has the high score on Miss Pac-Man gets the trophy at their desk. And the high score, the standing high score since it was created, is 19,000 and something, I think 490, and no one had beaten it, and it'd been a few months and I never even tried. So this past week I tried to beat it, and I spent my whole lunch break, instead of stitching, I was like, you know what, let's play some Pac-Man. And I got 18,000, like 300 and something. I was like 1,000 away. I was so close, and I died in Miss Pac-Man. And so I'm kind of determined to beat it now, because I got so close, which means I know I can do it. I just have to do it again and do it a little bit better. So my stitching at work might be cut a little bit until I can beat that. Oh, quilting. If you're interested in my quilting, I do have a TikTok. I have the same handle there as I do here, and I have all of my quilting stuff on there. So right now I've been working on my quilt called Tyler's Quilt, which is in memory of my cousin Tyler. I actually just got it back from the Long Arm Quilters, so if you want to see what that looks like, that's my latest video on that social media. And I've actually started filming, and I will be releasing soon videos of another quilt called Casey's Quilt, which is for my best friend in the whole wide world, Casey. So that's been fun. I have a couple more quilts I'm gonna be making, and I think 3 more quilts that I'll be making and posting there. As well as far as plans for 2023, one of the things that I want to do is the Harry Potter Project of Doom quilt, and that will be posted on that channel, where I'll be doing probably one foundational paper piecing quilt block a week and posting it there. So if you want to follow along on my quilting journey, feel free to hop over there. It's short form content, so it's not for everyone, but if that's your vibe, definitely go check it out. Thank you so much for sitting here with me today. I know I kind of blew through some of this stuff, but I don't have much to show because I've been so monogamous with my stitching, but it's been successful. So that's the important thing. I am very much a process stitcher, but I am also, I do like having a finished product. So it's a tough balancing act that I think a lot of people in this community sometimes deal with. I know there's some people who are very much a process stitcher, and unless something is a gift, they could take 10,000 years on it if they wanted to. And I am that way in some regards. With this project in particular, with Lady Justice, there's a place for it on my wall, and I want it up there. I want to get it framed, and I'm going to get it up. With some other things, they could take 10 years, and I don't care. So, again, thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment. Let me know how you are, how you're doing, what you think of my projects, and give me some ideas for 2023, because I've been keeping a list of the few things I want to stitch and start in 2023. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Also, I'm in Florida, and I think a lot of people know that who watch this channel. I am safe from Hurricane Ian. It was Ian, right? I am safe from Hurricane Ian. It did impact our area a little bit. I am on the East Coast, and we had basically tropical storm conditions. My house fared very, very fine. There was not even a power outage until after the storm had passed, and it was just a flicker, made our internet lose power, or disconnect and have to reconnect. So if that was the worst inconvenience that we had to deal with, we are lucky. I know there were some people in our town who were out of power for 12 to 24 hours. Our neighborhood, there were definitely some down limbs and down trees, and like damaged fences. So we are very lucky. Our house and our street in particular fared very well. Our neighborhood had a little bit more damage. My father had extensive damage. He's in Naples, Florida, which got hit very hard because they are just south of Fort Myers. And thankfully, he lives in a manufactured home that is like raised 5 feet above the ground. If his home was not raised like that, he likely would have lost his house, or much of his home, or much of the things inside of his home. Their car is likely totaled. It had like 4 inches of standing water inside of their car. It won't start. They still don't have power. So my dad is a very generous man, so when they evacuated to Miami, they bought generators and gas and brought back to people in their community because a lot of people were flooded, and they're all out of power. Excuse me. So they're working on it. So prayers are appreciated and welcome. My dad's in great spirits for now. We'll see how long it takes for their power to get back on. I haven't heard from him today, but when I talked to him yesterday, he still didn't have power, and today is October 1st, so their area was hit very hard. Our prayers go out to everyone in Naples, Fort Myers, everywhere across Florida. I also have a grandmother and second cousin who live in Orlando. My second cousin is special needs, and they couldn't live or they couldn't evacuate, and they are dependent on power for things for him. And I have not been able to get in contact with her. I believe her phone line is out. I have faith that they're fine, just because of where they're situated, but they did get, their area was hit pretty hard. I think it was like a Cat 1, maybe when it went over Orlando. And I also believe that she has the support system there, people to check in on her and make sure that they had everything that they need in order to be okay. So I'm going to keep calling her and making sure she's fine. So yes, Hurricane Ian was no joke. It has impacted a lot of Florida. I know there's a lot of places collecting donations. Red Cross is namely one. And I highly suggest donating to the people in need. If you need any local organizations that you want to donate to, feel free to email me. My email is in the description box, and I'm more than happy to provide any links to the organizations that I know, to the organizations that are actively in the communities, like in Naples. So thank you everyone for watching. Again, I know I already signed off, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you probably next month.